Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Ancient Warfare Answers with me, Murray, your weekly fix of 10 minutes of ancient military ranting and raving, where I attempt to answer the question from a reader, viewer or listener. And you can ask me a question. You can ask me a question in a whole variety of ways. This is another one sort of outside the box way of asking a question today, which I'll get to in a minute. You can, of course, send me a postcard or a letter. PO Box 222 Belfield 2191 NSW Australia. That will reach me. You can comment on a previous video or podcast. You can send us an email, awa@caravansarapublishers.com. There's other addresses as well. You can send an email to anyone in the ancient warfare world, and it will come to me. They forward me the questions. You can back us on Patreon, one of three different levels: Legionary, Optio, and Princeps. Princeps? Where did that come from? Optio, Legionary, Optio, and Centurion. I think I've made that mistake before, calling it a Princeps. That's like the premium, doesn't even exist. Anyway, today's question is a little bit out of my comfort zone because it's about ancient Egyptian military history, and I don't do a lot of work on ancient Egyptian military history, but it's an interesting one because it is a comment on a Facebook post of an old cover from Ancient Warfare magazine on the Ancient Warfare Facebook page, and there's a two-part conversation which basically refers it to me, so we'll get to that. And the cover was of Moses III advancing along the Aruna Road to Megiddo, so all about the Battle of Megiddo in the 15th century BC. Now, Michael said, "I still don't know what evidence there is for the striped headwear. Is it a trope?" Jeffrey replied, "Now I am curious too. Maybe a topic for Ancient Warfare Answers podcast to answer." Well, here I am, and if proof was needed that no matter where you ask your ancient warfare question, they will get to me somehow. I'll be pinged, I'll be alerted, someone will go, "Hey, did you see?" So that's this question here from Michael and Jeffrey. So this is your question. So what evidence is there for striped headwear? So the cover picture, one of the figures in the background does indeed have a striped headwear going on. And indeed, it's very common in pictures of Egyptian soldiers that they have this striped headwear. And Michael rightly asks, what evidence is there for it? Which is, of course, the question we should all ask. Now, I'm going to say the word meme to you. Now, this is not a internet picture with funny words to go viral. This is an Egyptian royal headwear meme. Maybe I'll need to make a meme out of that. Oh, funny. So the meme is a striped headwear worn by pharaohs. Now, that's very important that we bear that in mind, that it's worn by the pharaoh. It covered the whole crown and behind the head and the nape of the neck. So we see various examples of this. Probably the most famous is Abu Simbel, the temple that was moved when the Aswan Dam was made. The statues of Ramesses, the four of them that are the Abu Simbel temple, they have these names. And so it's a striped headwear with horizontal stripes, and so basically it goes all the way over the crown and down the back, and then it has two lappets, which are essentially modern lapels that go down the front of the shoulders, not the soldiers, Murray. And so you've got that in other pharaohs as well. There's Amenemhat III wearing one from the 19th century BC. You've got Amenhotep II wearing one from the 15th century BC. Akhenaten wears one. Of course, Yul Brynner wore one in the Ten Commandments, although the colouring is probably was peculiar in his version. The famous golden mask of Tutankhamun is exactly this striped headwear. Ramesses I, lots and lots of examples. If you look up Neem on the internet, you'll get lots of pictures of these things. Now, of course, the issue then becomes that these are all royal. These are all pharaohs wearing them, and even into the Roman period, you get depictions of Roman emperors as pharaoh. So Caracalla, for instance, is shown wearing one. The problem then becomes, of course, that if this is a royal headwear, it's very unlikely that your common Egyptian soldier, even in imitation of their pharaoh, is wearing such a headwear. So in terms of it being a trope, yes, I think that the idea that commoners wore what was a reserved headwear for pharaohs is probably unlikely. There may be colour differentiation, as in these ones seem to be black and gold or dark blue and gold, lapis lazuli and gold. It could be that the colours differentiated the royal pharaonic neem, and that therefore you could wear headwear that was similar in, emulation of your pharaoh, but you couldn't use those colours. And indeed, on the cover, I think the headwear in question is red and white. So that's possible. It could also be that things like you could borrow bits of it, but not the whole thing. So you couldn't have the lappets, for instance, that you could have a striped headwear, and that would show, loyalty and fealty and a homage to your emperor, but not be any kind of claim that you were, looking to usurp them. It's possible that sort of headwear it was worn. I believe that some of those depictions may come from various different reliefs, such as the Battle of Kadesh relief, but there isn't enough detail in the images to show us that that's what the common soldiers are wearing. Let me have a look and see if I can get a decent depiction of that relief especially. So, yeah, you've got the headgear, which could be a long black-haired wig of soldiers, but it could also be headwear, and that's probably where you get that idea from as one thing, rather than it just being a wig. But I think, again, that the details on those reliefs don't really have enough to be able to differentiate what actually is being shown. Again, you get Egyptian soldiers with helmets, especially the shirden, and then you get the sort of common Egyptian soldiers who are either bald, although that's mostly courtiers, or the other ones who seem to be wearing these black wigs, which you could see that you could make that into a neem-type striped headgear if you wanted to. So that's all a bit vague. But I think there is evidence enough for striped headwear, but as I say, it's generally royal, not common, but I can see a reason why you would allow for a commoner to wear such headwear. There would probably have been rules around, you can wear that, but don't wear that. Don't dare be brought into question your loyalty. But then I can also understand that wearing it could be shown as being loyal, whether that's a colour combination or a style, as in it looks similar but isn't obviously an exact copy of the royal neem. So I hope, Michael and Jeffrey, that answers your question. So yes, as I say, yes, there is evidence, but it's complicated. Yet again, it's complicated. All right, join me again for another episode of Ancient Warfare Answers. Thanks. Bye.